Hey, everybody, welcome back to this episode of Think Business Live. Looking forward to sitting down with CEO of Michigan Creative, Brian Town, michigancreative.com. Brian, it's great to have you on the show. I love talking to people in the creative field. And one of the things I love about your business and I love about your LinkedIn page is, right in the prime real estate area, which I think most people miss on LinkedIn, right? Your ideal real estate. It says CEO of Michigan Creative. The question I'm going to ask you will open up an area of your brain and awareness about your brand that no one can do like I do. I guarantee it. I love the bold and confidence of that. And I want to dive in because I think one of the main things about being creative is not only your awareness, but bringing out the client's awareness, right? That's the secret sauce. That's why people say, "Oh, I can do it myself. I can go on and do this, and I can do Canva, and or I can do a website on my own for $4." And those are great services. I'm not taking away from that.
Yeah.
But to really make something special, you need somebody who can bring out your awareness to bring out what you're missing. So let's just kind of talk about the art of how you do that with clients.
Yeah. And, it took me a little while to even get there to really figure out what our superpower was. And thanks for having me on here. I love, talking about the creative aspect of business in general. Like we are a marketing company, but really I love to call us a creative agency. And I really got that from a professor that I got to speak in his class. And, he started to talk about this creative stuff where that's what he taught. He taught a class on creativity. And I was like, oh my God, I want to teach that. But what he said to me, and I knew this because I used to teach. I have always taught something in the creative field. But what he said is, we're born creative. Where as kids, my daughter who's 7, Cora, she and I can play on the floor with nothing, a rock and a stick, and come up with crazy games for hours. And she does that on her own. It's like we have this in us, right? But it's slowly beaten out of us over the course of education and all that. So what I try to tell my staff is, yes, I think you're the best in the country as far as graphic design, video, marketing, web design. I think we've got the best. But what our superpower is being able to think creatively, because customers come to us all the time and they say one or two things. Number one, we're not creative. That's why we hired you.
Yeah.
And number two, they say, man, you guys really got us because you asked the type of questions that no one's asked us before. And how I know that was our superpower is because people would say it, one, when I would do interviews like this or video interviews, but also I think I would say things like, you guys already know what you do really well. You're just not telling anybody. And so I think that to us is, if you wanted to say one thing that we're really good at, and if I could do one thing for the rest of my career, it would be helping people, asking questions to get them to really think in a way that they haven't thought like since they were kids.
Yeah. Let's talk about that a little bit more because, if you look at movies like The Wizard of Oz, right? Everybody had their superpower. They just didn't know it. And they needed, the road of enlightenment, the yellow brick road, to basically, that was their space and time that it gave them to kind of realize, oh, wait, I do have this, right? I do have this within me already. But that space needs space, right? And we're all running 1,000 miles an hour. Distractions have never been higher in a post-COVID world, right? And so I want to talk about the space needed to get a client in a space where they can kind of take a breath and be able to hear the question and then find it within them, right? Because in any good story, right, everybody may have it within
us, and hired me as a consultant, for lack of a better word, but also for us at our team to create marketing messages for them and then actually get them out there for people to see. Their team was so excited because they were like, we've been waiting for somebody to come ask us what we do and what we think works, because their team, the CEOs kind of sometimes think they know what they're really good at or what their company's really good at. But you start talking to the employees and they're like, yeah, this is what I want to know. What do you hear your customers say when they go, oh my gosh, thank you so much. I don't know what we would have done without you. I need to know that. And
Yeah.
oh my gosh, your employees are going to be like, oh, I got 1,000 stories
Yeah.
right now. And so where we do that is and creative brainstorming sort of has this, I don't know. I don't like the way that sounds, but when we can really position people with the right questions ahead of time, we've got a little bit of a forum. We're just like, hey man, no wrong answers. Just put a bunch of blah on here and give it to anybody that you think might know something.
Yeah.
And then we take all that data, we start to form our questions from those answers a little bit, which sounds a little bit weird. But then having other people in those meetings and not just leadership in those
Yeah.
creative brainstorming sessions has been gold. And sometimes
Yeah.
we'll do it with leadership not even there,
Yeah.
because some employees aren't going to want to say things.
Yeah, sometimes it's better to not have the leaders in the room so people can really surrender and be themselves. But
Well,
I
and I
wanted
tell that to leaders too. I'm telling, like, if you want to write core values that no one's gonna follow, then you should write them yourself and tell people, because they're not going to work. No one's going to follow them. They need
right.
to come from within.
Yeah. Let's talk about you. You're a former teacher.
Yep.
And I think teachers, what a great skill set teachers have. And I have been seeing a lot of teachers and just talking to a lot of teachers who have moved from teaching into the business world. And what I like about it is, as a business coach, I always talk about, being able to speak and articulate things in a kindergarten to second grade level. Teachers are really good at articulating things because their clientele in the classroom need to understand, right? And it's like you're teaching in many cases to the middle, and so you got to kind of really take the time to pause and articulate. And so talk about some of the things you've learned as a teacher and how you've brought that into the business world, because I would think there's a lot of teachers who are looking for a second business or are in the same shoes as you are now, but they're not there yet.
Yeah. So number one, the easiest thing, and there's three things that I always attribute to teaching, and there's probably hundreds, but three of them that really stick out is one, public speaking, right? if you're a teacher right now, you're going to be able to public speak. You're going to be able to get on podcasts. You're going to be able to speak in front of large audiences, because if you can do it to a bunch of preteens or teens and they don't make fun, they'll make fun of you and that doesn't bother you. You can speak in front of anybody. Two is, I think we forget that our teachers are leaders. And so leadership is something that I teach consistently here to my staff, because young people are not taught how to be leaders. Mm-hmm. Young people, no one teaches you how to be a leader. And a lot of us haven't had good leaders in our lives. But I guarantee you can look back and say, but I had a really good teacher. Yeah. So teachers are great leaders. They teach you more than just math, more than just science. A lot of teachers and a lot of students that I had, really it was about life. And so I think that is a really strong skill set. And I think the other thing too is, like you said, is breaking it down so it's most simple and starting from sort of backwards. And that's the classic backwards design, is this curriculum, where you're taking the end product. Where do you want to be? So I need to take clients like, hey, at the end of this contract or at the end of this, what would make you really happy? Where do you see? And they say, well, more clients, this, everything's organized. I'm like, great. Well, let's work backwards to see how we get there. And that's a marketing plan. Yeah. That's a lesson plan. That's a business plan. And so really teachers are able to take a really complicated problem and start to figure out ways backwards to start putting it together, and then telling clients, hey, this is how we're going to do this together. Because it is daunting. Business is daunting.
Yeah, it's hard. Business is hard.
Running a business is hard. Doing marketing is hard. Yeah. And it's frustrating.
Yeah. Let's talk about marketing for a minute. I think I love marketing. I have always loved marketing. I've been reading marketing books and studying marketing since I was 20 years old, reading all of Al Ries and Jack Trout's, and I could go on and on. I love the whole concept of marketing, because I believe that so much of business and life is marketing. And so, but I think sometimes people don't necessarily know how to define what that really is or what that means. And more importantly, what it means to them, especially in today, right? So marketing used to be in the yellow pages, have a handout, now it means so much more, especially with social media. And so, and the ability to even do a podcast like this today with the technology we're using today. So what does marketing mean for the type of, let's focus on maybe the type of companies you're working with?
Yeah. And the medium is the message, right? And
Yeah.
so it depends on what we're on, of course, but marketing at its simplest, purest form is telling somebody how you can improve or help them solve a problem. To me, that is the essence. It's really, what are you going to feel like after you engage with us? What is your
Yeah.
life going to look like? That's marketing. Think about the very early commercials that you saw. It never had to do with what this product tastes like or what this product was or how much it costs. It was like, hey, if you use this product, if you use this service, your life is going to look like this.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of it is BS, whatever. But at the end of the day, I need to go and do marketing in a way that for my customers, some are manufacturers, some are large nonprofits. I need to have somebody see a brand or a message that's by that customer, by our client, and their exact customer needs to see it, and they need to say, finally.
Mm-hmm.
If I can do that, we win. I mean,
Yeah.
if I can get somebody to say, oh my gosh, and it applies across any industry, right?
Yeah.
Finally, there's somebody that can help solve my problem.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And I think sometimes where people get stuck, I see this as a business coach, Brian. People know they have a problem, they don't know how to solve the problem, and they're not reaching out to mentors, companies like yours. I'll say even coaches like me,
Sure.
because they don't fully grasp the idea that the same level of consciousness that got them to where they are cannot get them to where they want to be,
Yeah.
especially in a post-COVID world where everything has accelerated, technology has accelerated, the way people look at things has accelerated. I mean, your messaging today, in my opinion, has to be so tight in every way that you market. And so you may have a campaign. I'd love you to talk about this, but it still needs to be a smidge different on Facebook, a smidge different on LinkedIn, right? So talk about that, because that's where it gets so simple, it's complicated.
Well, also too, I think one of the things you run into, which is in line with what you're saying, is that some clients have been told that they have to be on Facebook, and man, I say I don't know. Like some of these businesses, like I would say you probably don't. Like your customers are not going to be on there. So the problem is that it doesn't just end with a messaging. Brand is great, right? I love brand. Some people talk about it all day long, but we have to figure out what that message is and who that message is going to that particular customer. And it doesn't always have to be on a digital piece. Like sometimes, I think where marketing and sales kind of gets separated, we really want to work hand in hand with the sales team. Sometimes I'm talking to these manufacturing companies and they're like, well, sales takes care of that. I'm like, yeah, but are they really prepared? What would help them close $50,000 more business a month?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, oh, well, a little explainer video or some technology that, gets them to wave and do a video instead of an email. I mean, that's all marketing, in my opinion. And really, at the end of the day, marketing's job is to A, bring in sales, or B, support the current sales efforts that you have.
Yeah.
And is it out there to promote your brand and brand awareness and all that stuff? Yeah, I think that's great. And I think that does obviously is important. But I don't want to focus on that until we can make some money using marketing. Like I don't want you to spend money just to get your brand out there.
And let's talk about this. So, your focus is web development, video, branding, advertising, all of these different things. And I know you've got a tremendous client roster. And I think customizing, talk a little bit about how you work with clients to customize what's right for them in the right order. I think sometimes when people are, it's like when they're ready, all of a sudden they want it all. But you don't have to do it all, and so talk a little bit about how you kind of figure out the editorial calendar and the flow of what's right for a particular client.
Yeah, that's a great question. Until about 2 years ago, we really went about it in the way that I'm glad we don't. Because what we used to do, and we're only 10 years old, John, and so it took us. We're a small business, man. We are always changing and always adjusting our stuff too. But what we used to do is come in there and just when they asked us, hey, we need some help with marketing, we would make a proposal based on what we think they needed, right?
Yeah,
and sometimes it would work. I'm not saying it didn't work. We got here doing that. But now what I usually tell a client is when they come and they ask, we think we need to do AdWords and we think we need to do this. I'm like, you know what? I have no idea. So let's start with what we call a green print and a messaging plan.
Yeah.
So a green print for us, it's a creative way of saying a marketing plan. But for us, marketing plans weren't creative enough. And so by using the green print, it really allows us to get to know that customer and to start off with what is most important for them, which is organization, a plan,
and organizing their thoughts. Right.
Yeah. And then getting a plan to make money. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. Like, I do think all this stuff's important, but at the end of the day, I want to be known for somebody that can help solve problems and somebody that makes them money.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, if I can solve your problems and make you money, you're never going to want to go anywhere else. Now, can we do that all the time? Do all of our videos make you money? Absolutely not. But at the end of the day, getting a green print in there, if you follow our process and we're able to ask you questions, I can guarantee you that you're going to have a really good plan moving forward.
Yeah. You know, one of the last questions I have for you before I move into a quick speed round is everybody, I think, wants to make money with companies like yours. The obstacle that I think people, where they get in their own way, is they say, let's try for 3 months or 6 months. It's like marketing to me is a never ending piece. It's like, you know, this podcast, and if I include my 2 other podcasts that I've done in the past, I've got, you know, I think over 1,100 episodes. But if I stopped tomorrow in 3 months, then it goes away, right? And so it's like my point is consistency is so important long term. And so can you just talk about the mindset of consistency, and once you're in, what that looks like?
Yeah, consistency is important, and you can't do it without a plan. And that's why that green print and that marketing plan allows you, because inside of there, you're going to have a creative calendar. You're going to have a content calendar. You're going to have posts 3 times, and maybe we're posting 2 times a week for you, but we make you post 2 times, but we tell you what to post. And so really the consistency is easy to do. All it is, and you can do it on a piece of paper. You can do it with a calendar. And just to plan out what you're going to be doing in the next 3 months, in the next 6 months, and then also start thinking about, well, what's our quarterly January to March look like next year? Let's start promoting this product.
Yeah.
And I think Alicia on our team has done a really good job for us personally to have us, like, I know from here until mid-June what our content is going to be every single month. And so our content is a vlog, a blog, a Facebook post, a LinkedIn post, a digital ad. So for every month that has a theme, and it's not hard if you just put it down on paper. Yeah.
Yeah. And for those people who are saying, well, I don't have time to do it, it's like, that's why people need to hire companies like yours to actually do it for them. You know, I've been on social very actively for 6.5 years, and I've had somebody posting all my social. I don't want to post my own social. So if somebody says, people say to me, how do you do so much? I say, because I've got a great team that helps me do it. Right. So I can be with clients and doing, you know, I can be with clients coaching or doing a podcast. I don't do any of my own posting.
Unless John, it's also that $10, you know, not $10 an hour, but it's that lower dollar an hour stuff that you, where is your, as a CEO, as the owner, where's your time most effective? Mine as a CEO is not posting on Facebook or LinkedIn. I don't even, you know, on LinkedIn, Alicia does that for me.
Yeah. No, I love it. I love it. All right. You ready for a quick speed round?
Yes, sir.
All right. Favorite book and why?
Heartbreaking Work of Staggering Genius. It's a fiction book. I love it. It just talks about him and his relationship with his brother. And it's just sort of a, you know, this crazy kind of book. Dave Eggers wrote it a long time ago. I've read it several times. It's just, I don't know. I love his relationship with his brother.
Good. I love it. Best piece of wisdom you've ever received?
Every problem has a solution. You know, that's something over and over again. That's one of our core values now too. My father, you know, had really put that in there. He's like, hey, look, he was an Army colonel. He's like, no matter how bad it gets, there's always a solution. And it might be a really bad one, but there's a solution.
I love it. Define yourself in one word.
Leader.
All right. And fast forward 100 years, what do you want your legacy to be?
I want to create 100 jobs for people that are now wealthy and debt-free and had the best job that they ever could.
All right, good. I love it. Tell everybody who your ideal clients are and how they can connect with you.
Yeah, we love manufacturers. Manufacturing for us is just really in need of our services, and historically they haven't. Those in large nonprofits, we do a really good job listening to them. And the best way to get a hold of me is find me on LinkedIn or go to michigancreative.com untitled.com.
All right. I love it. Brian, I enjoyed this talk. I appreciate you defining marketing, talking about the power of consistency, your own superpowers, but most of all about being great at asking questions to make to get people in a space where they can become more aware and you can do your magic for them.
Yep.
I think everybody needs those mentors in their lives where they can bring something out that's hidden in plain sight, but they've been missing it for years.
Yeah.
And you do that with your clients, and it's great. And to me today, especially in a post-COVID world, not only retail companies, but all professional service companies, everybody needs a dominant space with a website, social media. You've got to be building your marketing plan and your branding and everything that comes along with all the creative on a consistent basis. I know you do great work, and I appreciate you taking time to be on the show.
Thanks, John. This is a lot of fun. Anytime.
Yeah. Anything in closing? I felt like you had something you wanted to say.
No, I just, and the funny thing when you say that is a lot of times when we do these questions and answers and with the customers, they're like, oh my God, yes, we've been thinking that all along, but they haven't done anything with it, which I love that. It makes my job super easy. I'm like, you guys already know who you are. It's like, let me tell everybody else for you.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Brian, thanks so much. MichiganCreative.com. Think Community. If Brian can help you, please reach out. Brian, appreciate your time. Thanks so much.
All right, man. Thanks, John.